Mika Whaiwhiri.
Mr Speaker, tēnā koea i ngā memo te whare, tēnā tātou katoa. Ngāti Hineuru whenua, ngāti Hineuru mana, ngāti Hineuru tangata. Tēnei te mihi maiwa kia koutou. Tēnei te mihi maiwa i runga i te kaupapa whakahirahira. Ai, kua tai mai te wā, e honore, e kororia ki te atua. Nō reira, i te iwi, nau mai, hara mai. Mr Speaker, it is indeed an honour to stand, to acknowledge, to support unreservedly the passage of this historic bill, the Hineuru Claim Settlement Bill. Like previous speakers in the House, Mr Speaker, I too want to acknowledge those that are no longer here with us to both witness today in the first reading of this important bill, but also to see the conclusion of what I understand has been a real struggle in getting to this point. So I mihi in their honour that are no longer here. Mr Speaker, in the short time I have, it is important to acknowledge those that have been instrumental in bringing this bill to this House today. I do want to acknowledge the negotiators of Ngāti Hineuru, to commend them for the tenacity they've shown, the commitment and the generosity, using the words of the Minister, in getting to an acceptable settlement here today. As a former negotiator myself, I understand the commitment that being a negotiator requires, a commitment of character when you have to travel home to your people and get caught all sorts of things to make sure that you're doing the absolute best for your people. So I do want to commend and acknowledge the negotiators for getting us here today. Of course, we wouldn't be here unless we had the support of the Crown, the OTS officials. I want to acknowledge them for their role. I also want to acknowledge the Minister, Chris Finlinson, who's overseen a lot of treaty settlements, and I want to support and acknowledge his support in getting us here. And of course, as this bill goes to the Māori Affairs Select Committee, I want to acknowledge the Chair and the members of a very hard-working Select Committee that do the best for our people. And I want to acknowledge them in support of the work that they get, and hopefully we get this bill back in quick time. Mr Speaker, when I look at, and I don't want to go through it in detail because there's too much to cover in the short time I have, there are two parts of the historic account that I want to draw the House's attention and make note in my contribution. One is in talking about the 34 Hineuru individuals who were among the 86 prisoners of the Crown captured at Ōmaranui and the conflict near Pētani. Most were transported to the Chatham Islands that the Minister acknowledged and detained without trial in harsh conditions for 2 years. In 1868, the prisoners escaped and became embroiled in a war with the Crown. During this war, the Crown forces attacked Ngātapa in January of 1869. After the attack, a severe head reported to belong to Nikora o Hineuru was brought back to the Crown camp. Crown forces similarly executed a number of prisoners captured at Ngātapa. Mr Speaker, I draw the conclusion with that record of Ngāti Hineuru's historic account as one similar shared with my father's people of Rongo Whakaata, who, along with Hineuru, lost many lives at Ngātapa. In fact, we were shot, women and children were shot and thrown over the hill of Ngātapa. So I feel the hurt that Ngāti Hineuru have, particularly with those people that were executed in Ngātapa. So kei te mihi kia koutou. The second point I want to raise in the historic account, Mr Speaker, is what I've also seen in many other treaty settlements. And the Minister referred to the taking of land and the returning of land in 1920 to those descendants, the individual Māori. And then that was overturned in some other forms of legislation in the 1950s, where again, Ngāti Hineuru became landless. Mr Speaker, there have been many settlements where we have seen the actions of the Crown in rewarding those that either fought or enabled the Crown to take the actions that they did on our people by the gifting of land and then the taking it away. And I just wanted to draw that particular point, Mr. Speaker, because right in front of this House we are dealing with a bill around Māori land, which is the Ngā Ture Whenua. And I wanted to draw a comparison with what the current government is doing with some of these historic acts that have breached the rights of the people of Ngāti Hineuru. And I wanted to make the comparison that when we are passing legislation in this House that impacts on the rights of Māori landowners, then we have to do that very, very carefully. And that's my message today in celebrating this first reading of this important bill, Mr. Speaker, that we cannot bring legislation in here that further alienates Māori from their whenua. And when we read the historic account of Ngāti Hineuru, they, like many, many iwi, were left landless. And so it's upon us as parliamentarians, as members of this House, that property rights of iwi katoa need to be protected. And so I want to acknowledge that, Mr. Speaker, in the support of this bill. Mr. Speaker, with the minutes I have left, my closing comment, and I support the Minister around the generosity that Ngāti Hineuru have played in getting to this final settlement. They have been subjected to atrocious breaches of their rights as guaranteed under the Treaty of Waitangi. And therefore it is important and incumbent on all members of this House that we not only acknowledge those breaches, but we support what has been negotiated, like the Minister said, under trying times to ensure that we can at least in a very small part accord a form of compensation or remedies that will ensure that the aspirations of the Ngāti Hineuru are strong as we go forward. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I stand with all members in this House and commend the first reading of this bill, the Ngāti Hinu Claim Settlement Bill. Kia ora tātou.